I, 28 female, am a self-taught graphic designer and have worked hard to build my career. On the other hand, my sister, 25 female, has always been critical of my job, calling it a hobby and not a real job. Her parents passed away a few years ago and I've been more of a parental figure to her since then. We've had our ups and downs, but I've always tried to support her. Recently she got engaged and was over the moon about planning her wedding. She found her dream dress, which was way out of her budget. Knowing I'd saved a bit, she asked if I could pay for it as her wedding gift. I agreed because I wanted her to be happy. However, a few days ago we had a family gathering where she introduced her fiancé to our extended family. During the dinner, she made a snide remark about my career, implying that I was still playing with my computer while others had real jobs. I was hurt and confronted her later. Things escalated, and I told her that if she didn't respect my career, she couldn't expect me to fund her wedding dress with the money I earned from it. She accused me of ruining her wedding and being petty. I'm torn. I want to support her, but I also feel disrespected. Am I the idiot for refusing to pay for my sister's wedding dress when she insulted my career? Not the idiot. She's not cool with what you do but wants the money you make doing it. She'd do well to live within her means and not bite the hand that feeds her. She's not happy? Too bad, so sad. Paying for her dress would be a lovely gesture, but it's not your responsibility. It would be a generous gesture reserved for people who treat you respectfully. If this had happened to me, I wouldn't hesitate to take action and reduce contact with her later. Yep, play with fire and you'll get burned. She ruined her own wedding and you had nothing to do with it. First, by thinking a dress can ruin a wedding, celebrating a union with her life partner whom she loves should be the focus, and second, by the aforementioned snobbery and greed. I'm shaking my head at how ignorant the sister is. If OP has managed to carve out a decent living, she's not just playing around with Photoshop. People aren't paying for her technical skills alone, they're paying for her artistic eye. I can't help but wonder if OP's sister is jealous of her artistic talent. Exactly. Nobody cares about the damn wedding dress other than the bride herself. If a dress so easily ruined her wedding, I don't think her wedding or marriage would have been anything great in the end. She could be jealous and insecure that OP has a well-off career and her life together. LOL, honey, why are you even torn on this? Imagine for a moment that you're entitled enough to ask someone in one breath to fund an expensive frivolity you can't afford, and then insult how they would fund it in the next. No, a wedding dress isn't frivolous, but an unaffordable one is. What kind of message would you send if you paid for something after she treated you like that? Have some self-respect and tell her if she wants a dress she can play on a computer for money. No apology will even be genuine at this point. My 22 female mom and grandparents passed away a few months ago and left me everything. My mom and grandparents were incredibly rich, old money rich type, so it's a lot of money. My parents divorced when I was 15 and my dad cheated on my mom with his co-worker. They had a prenup signed, so my dad basically received nothing from the divorce and I live with my mom full time. I visited my dad during the school holidays, but I was never a fan of his new family, the woman he had an affair with and her kids. Anyway, I'm still processing the list of my grandparents and mom, but my dad wants me to share my inheritance with his stepkids. After the affair blew up, Dad was fired from his old job and is struggling to maintain a job, so his living situation is pretty bad. My mom paid for my university and I'm planning to invest this money and also continue studying. Masters. My siblings will be turning 18 next year and my dad said they have to get student loans to pay for their college. I told my dad it's not my problem because I don't see them as my family, and this money is from my mom and grandparents who definitely don't see them as family. He blew up on me, calling me heartless. His wife is also messaging me asking for money to help them out, but I told her to leave me alone because she's not entitled to anything. They're now harassing my boyfriend into changing my mind. They messaged him on social media. They were blocked, but they kept creating new accounts. So childish, honestly. It's getting increasingly annoying. Some of my friends think I can just give them 10% to help them out because I will still have more than enough money. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Time to lose these idiot friends. Your inheritance belongs to you and no one else. Your dad's children going to college is his responsibility, just as your future children's going to college will be your responsibility. The correct response is, that's a shame. If only they were born to at least one responsible parent who thought of getting them a college plan, 529, or another similar saving for college plan when they were babies. None of these sob stories are any concern of yours, and giving people money rarely ever helps them. Once OP dips into her bank account for her step-sibs, her friends will be next in line. It's only 10%. Yikes. And Dad will see it as a ticket to fund his life. Next up, they'll be doing further education, or the house needs repair. How can you let your old dad live in this shack? And it will never stop until the account is empty. This is why people who get money should keep it a secret. The same happens for lottery winners. When you get money, the people come out of the woodwork saying how much you mean to them and asking if I can have some money. They regard inheritances as free money, an unexpected windfall in that the person receiving it doesn't fully deserve it, so it should be shared. It's crap, and I feel bad for people who find a good break and then must deal with the moochers. Good luck, OP. The bloody cheek of these cheaters to ask for money from you and what your mom and grandparents left. Don't give them anything. No guilt to say no to the moochers. I, a teen male, have my mom's last name. She and my dad were married, but she kept her last name and he kept his. Then, when I was born, I got my mom's last name. When I was 8, my mom died, and when I was 11, my dad remarried. My little sister is a young teen. My stepmother came into the marriage with 3 kids of her own. The older 2 have a different dad from her younger kid. Their dads are deadbeats and my step-siblings never knew them. My dad and stepmother had a baby together last year. He has both their last names. My step-siblings were upset when he got to match both dad and stepmother, and they were upset dad didn't adopt them. So the suggestion was made for dad to adopt them and my stepmother to adopt my sister and me. Then we all take the hyphenated name, dad's last name hyphen stepmother's last name. I said no to both and told them I didn't want to be adopted or to have my name changed. My sister said she didn't really want to, but said if it was a big deal for dad, she would agree. He thanked her. For the next few months, my dad and stepmother told me why they felt these changes were good and necessary. They brought a therapist in to speak to me, and the therapist told me it would be okay to be adopted and to have the security my stepmother could provide if she were my legal mother. I never changed my mind and told them I would still not consent to the adoption. Once they sorta kinda maybe accepted that, they told me to consider hyphenating my last name at least. They said I could even have 3. Keep my mom's if I really insist on it, but they don't know why I was making such a big deal out of it and adding the hyphenated name. They said it would make addressing our whole family so much easier and would mean a lot to everyone. My dad said it would be nice for his kids to have his last name finally. My stepmother said it would be very symbolic for her to feel like I've accepted her as a third parent and that it would mean I want to be part of her and her kids' family. She told me she understands how I feel about my last name and keeping it my mom's because it's just as important to her that my sister and I have her name in there too. She told me she loved me and to imagine how much happiness it would bring. She also said it would be less confusing for my half-brother and my future half-sister. She's pregnant again. I told them I didn't want my name changed or added to. I told them it felt disrespectful to dismiss how important my last name was. I told them I was the one who had to live with the name and I didn't want to take their new hyphenated name. My dad told me my sister was willing and didn't want to match with her at least. I told him she doesn't even want to, she's doing it for him, which she made very clear when she agreed. But it's not something I would do for him. They told me I should be more willing to compromise and that my hard stance on this would be upsetting to my siblings. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Did your father and stepmother change their last names to hyphenated names? Have they even considered that you are a legal adult in 2 years and might someday get married and want to hyphenate your name with your spouse? You would end up with 4 hyphenated last names. I honestly don't see all of this name fuss they're making. Blended families with different last names are so common. It's not like you become a pariah. Your name is your name and they don't have any right to make you change it. I imagine it's all the more meaningful for you because it was your mother's name. Blended families with different last names are hardly confusing these days, and it's a BS excuse to try and persuade you into changing your name. Why does it matter so much to them, I wonder? You're a teen. If you're not into it and say so, people should stop. They've had a rocking relationship and he cheated on her, which is a family secret that was a few years ago. My issue now is with my son-in-law making comments all the time that I'm a wild woman now that I've divorced. I've spoken to both of them before. I had a bad day today and was hosting all the kids and families. He commented on how I'm a loose woman since the divorce. I snapped and told him that if I was a loose woman, he must be a loose man since he cheated on my daughter. So the secret was out, he got angry and left. My daughter demands an apology, and the rest of the family doesn't want to be around him due to his hypocrisy. My one son also hates cheaters and basically said he's dead to him. Am I the idiot and should I make amends? Info: how does your daughter usually respond when he starts insulting you? Like before you revealed his cheating, did she say anything about what he was saying, or was she just there? She just sits there. I've talked to both of them. Clearly she's backing him up in this opinion. If someone else tells him to shut up, then she has an issue about them talking to her husband that way. I'm not apologizing to my daughter. She had 2 years to stop this. Clearly she's backing him up by not defending me at all for 2 years. Not the idiot. Don't throw stones in a glass house. Man, I messed around and found out. I understand your daughter's point of view, but her lack of a decent partner is not your fault. Your daughter is a hypocrite. Just because she's happy being his doormat doesn't mean you should be too. Proud of you for putting this tool back in his place. Funny how the biggest bullies get so incredibly offended when someone matches their energy. 100% he's trash. She can choose to be the stand-by-your-man doormat of a woman, but she has no right to demand you apologize to him. I would also say it's time to speak to your daughter about the marriage, as it's clear she's either scared or brainwashed by him. Either way, it's a sign of domestic violence, even if there's no physical violence. She may not listen at first, but keep an eye out. My godson is a high school junior, and next semester he will start sending out college applications. For his whole life, it had been decided that I would be paying for his college tuition, and that's more or less the reason his parents made me his godmother. But my godson didn't know I'd made this agreement with his parents until this week. So this week, my godson and I were talking about his college plans, and he said he wished he'd known I was doing that for him so he could have thought of a good way to say thank you. I told him I would consider us even if he applied to a certain university. The only reason I want my godson to apply to this university is because once upon a time, it was my dream to attend that school. But I let my high school guidance counselor talk me out of applying, and I've always regretted it. It would make me vicariously happy to see my godson get accepted to this university, even if he decides afterward to go somewhere else. I know that's a little silly, but I think it's harmless, especially because he's not emotionally attached to the school and won't be upset if, for whatever reason, his application is rejected. However, when my godson's parents found out I'd asked him to apply to this school, they were upset, mainly his mother. She's adamantly against him applying there because, in her opinion, it's too far away, and she's afraid that if he gets accepted, he might upend his current plans and choose to go there instead of a closer school. And she said that it's crappy of me to be giving him what's supposed to be a gift with strings attached and holding money over his head. I disagree that I'm attaching strings because I only brought it up when my godson specifically asked me what he could do as a thank you gesture, and I don't think I'm holding the money over his head because I'm not saying that I'll only pay for school if he applies here or if he enrolls here. I'll pay for his tuition no matter what college he attends, and I've never suggested otherwise. But am I the idiot for asking that my godson apply to this particular university? I think his parents are overreacting because of their own baggage. Edit, I know this kind of makes me sound like a jerk, but basically his parents have expected me to pay his college tuition because I have the money to do it. The reason they asked me to be his godmother in the first place was so that I could help give my godson a better life than what they've been able to afford on their own, including sending him to college without debt. You are the idiot. You're saying his parents have baggage, but you're being practically the same. Let him choose where he wants to go. He doesn't need to apply to your dream university just because you regret not going there years ago. Now you've set the tone that he does have to do something to thank you. How manipulative. Stop trying to live vicariously through your godson. Not cool. If you're paying his tuition, attach no strings. You missed your chance to go to that school. It's not his job to make that up for you. Disagree, not the idiot. You're paying a lot of money for his education. I think it's fair to ask him to apply somewhere as long as he's not expected to actually go there if he gets in. Having more options is not a bad thing. It's wild that some people in this thread expect you to pay for another person's child's college education with no strings attached. You are paying for it regardless, and that takes a load of the strain off the parents, but also removes a lot of pressure that the parents could have used over the kid. The mom seems mad because she wants the kid to be closer to her regardless of the education. Mama is just scared and upset because her baby will be leaving soon no matter how close or far. So you're not the idiot, but I bet Mom could use therapy.